Alright, the Thunder secure their spot in the knockout round of the NBA Cup off this win, and per usual, they did it by setting the tone on defense, because out the gates, they were very aggressive in every aspect, especially against Book. They had Dort hounding him the entire night, and their game plan was to force the rock out of his hands as much as possible, because they had their big showing in his screening actions, then on his ones, they were loading up, so he was seeing a crowd no matter what. They were basically forcing the others to beat him, and to the Suns' credit, they actually matched that level of aggressiveness on offense, because from top to bottom, they were all looking to get theirs, so they were able to exploit the backside advantage. On the catch, they were all decisive to either pass, drive, or shoot, and even though they were settling from deep a lot of the times, at least they made some timely ones that kept them afloat, so they weren't ever completely out of the game. If Book wasn't just exploiting a screening action, then he was looking to hunt a matchup, more specifically Joe and Shea, because Joe's always gonna hedge, and Shea seems to be a target for certain players, so he was also able to create some advantages through that. But even without him creating, Gillespie and Brooks were just as aggressive when both of them had the rock, because the Thunder were mainly having their bigs drop against their screening actions, so the two were always looking to score, and the Thunder's physicality was not deterring either one of them from attacking, especially Gillespie. Queso was hounding him 94 feet, yet his mindset never wavered, and I'm surprised he's even seeing a drop, because he's gotten a bigger role this year, the same way Reed has with the Rockets, so I figured opponents know better than to do that. But that aggressive mindset as a team was even showing on the Yo boards, because they were all crashing, so at least they were cleaning up some of the misses, and that was one of the ways they got back into the game in the fourth. The other way was just their defense, because surprisingly, they were just as aggressive on the other end, so they were basically giving the Thunder a taste of their own medicine, and that was consistent the entire night, not just in that quarter. The Thunder's most consistent source of offense were just the turnovers they were forcing, because those were allowing them to avoid the half court with runouts, but when they did have to execute, they also had to rely on their stars to generate a lot of their shots. And the Suns' game plan was to have their big show or sometimes switch against Shea and Dub's screening actions, then on Shea's ones, they were loading up to shade his angles. Same as Book, Shea was also seeing a crowd at all times, so whenever he drew help, he just had to make the right pass. And even though he wasn't able to get his early, and Dub has some obvious rust coming back, at least the two allowed the others to eat. It really took until the third before Shea finally got going, because the rock was almost exclusively in his hands, and the Thunder got to put on one of their patented quarters, so they came close to breaking the game open. He was just looking to score more, and he was doing that by hunting either one of the Suns' bigs, Gillespie, Book, Goodwin, or really whoever he wanted, because the matchup didn't matter at all. He was frying anyone in front of him. That led to them going up 12 entering the fourth, but that lead got evaporated once he had to sit out early in that quarter, and that's when the Suns went on a quick 10-0 run that made it a single-digit game, so when he subbed back in, they needed his heroics. At least he got some burn against the Wolves in the game prior, because they haven't needed him in the fourths often, let alone in the clutch, so he was able to make big plays doing what he did in the third, and it basically turned into him versus Book. The two were generating damn near every shot through their advantages, and sometimes it was when one of them was trying to hunt the other, but unfortunately for Book, Shea hit the biggest one, while Brooks missed the biggest one when he found Brooks on a spray to the corner, because that was the Suns' best look at tying the game. Their last chance was in the final 14 seconds, and fortunately for Shea, he actually had a teammate show up for him, because on that possession, he lost the rock when Gillespie came from his blind side for the steal, but Caruso managed to salvage that by getting to the 50-50 before Mark Williams could, so Shea's got Caruso to thank for securing the win. Just watch the tape.